Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and in our previous video we took the components out of this Packard Bell sleeper case that I was using as my main machine and put them in the Carolina Flyer case. And as of right now, it's been 2 days since we did that, and it's still working just fine. And I mentioned my plans for the future for this Packard Bell sleeper case. Well, it's to build the ultimate 90s Packard Bell. I was going to get a micro ATX motherboard that could take a Pentium 3, put it in here along with a bunch of the components from the Carolina Flyer, and restore from a Packard Bell Master CD with Windows 95, upgrade it to Windows 98, hook up a Packard Bell monitor, Packard Bell keyboard up to it, and you'll have a system that has the power of a Windows 98 build, but with the look and feel of a mid-90s Packard Bell. And that's what we're going to do today, because the missing piece for this project has arrived, and that would be the motherboard. Let's take a look at that. Alright, what we have here is a slot 1 motherboard, micro ATX. This is an MSI motherboard from, I guess, about 1999 or so. I already added the Pentium 3 600 and 256 megs of RAM in here before I made this video. And yeah, it looks like it should be a pretty good board for my for what I intend to use this system for. Here's the I/O on it. We won't be using these audio connectors because we'll be using a ISA sound card. But this has everything I need for this build. An AGP slot for my 3FX Voodoo 3 card, 3 PCI slots. I'm going to be using one for my network card, and an ISA slot where I will be putting a Packard Bell sound modem card in here, because you can't have a Packard Bell without one of those. And got some jumpers here. I hope I don't have to adjust them. And over here back at the case, I went ahead and put in the drives and the power supply the other day to go ahead and get that out of the way. So we got a power supply there, DVD-ROM drive right here, floppy drive, and a 40 gigabyte Samsung IDE hard drive. So we should be good to go for that. So all we'll really need to do is add the motherboard and the expansion cards. And let's take a look at those expansion cards, shall we? Okay, on top here we've got the Packard Bell sound modem card. Like I said, can't have a Packard Bell without one of those. A CMOS battery that I was going to use, but it looks like this one already has a battery in it, so I will hold on to this for now. I might need it anyway. That might be dead, I don't know. A network card. I believe this is a 3Com. The 3DFX Voodoo 3 video card, and a bunch of cables here, including an IDE cables and the CD audio cable to connect to the sound card. So that's what we've got to put in here, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, motherboard is finally installed. It took a while to get it to fit in here because of this little part right in there. Did not want to go in there, but I finally got it. And I got most of the screws in, along with the power supply connector and the fan connector. So now I need to figure out how these front panel headers connect, because these aren't really labeled. We'll probably wind up having to look up the manual online, so I shall go do that. Oh, that was an ordeal. There's really not much documentation on this motherboard, although I did find out that this same board was used in a few Packard Bell systems in the late 90s, so hey, I guess it kind of fits. So I pretty much had to shotgun it on the front panel headers, but I eventually got it right. The only thing is the hard drive LED, I don't know if that works yet until I get a hard drive connected to it. So yeah, I have already turned this on, and yes, it does work. It does post. I kept getting error codes at first at boot up, and it wouldn't post. Turns out it just needed a video card. I thought it was not liking the CPU, but it does like it. It's just an NVIDIA card I'm using just to test with for now. I will be putting the Voodoo in here shortly, so now that the motherboard is in, let's start putting the drive cables and the expansion cards in, shall we? Alright, I think it is done. A little cramped in here, but it should work. That fan on the Voodoo is really up against that network card, but hopefully it should be fine. Maybe I can get a smaller fan to put on there sometime, but hopefully it'll be fine. Packard Bell card there, network card, CPU. It's like everything's accounted for. So, I guess we should go ahead and test it out. I tell you, this place sure gets cluttered easily. Anyway, let's go ahead and fire it on up. Get the power cord plugged in. I left it over there. And I need to clean this place up. And I also need to quit kicking that poor tripod. It's been through too much, doesn't deserve it. Alright, power's on immediately. And that sound, ladies and gentlemen, means that it does not work, and I failed. Okay, I think the Voodoo card wasn't seated properly. NEC. That's different. I think I plugged the floppy cable in backwards, but... And I did go ahead and replace the CMOS battery, because I suspect the old one was dead. Alright, thanks, it's January 1st, 1997. Actually, remember what I did that day. I went to Carolina Circle Mall, of course, where else, and had my picture taken in a photo booth. But it is January, but it's actually, what day is it? The 25th. Wow, Christmas Day was a month ago today. Time sure does fly. 25th, 2018. Time is 3:40 p.m. Okay. Can't say if I got the seconds right or not, but no big deal. And I do need to take care of that floppy drive problem. So apparently this motherboard came out of a NEC. That's interesting. Let's see. Okay, everything looks good there. We'll turn on Smart. We will be putting the plug and play OS on there. It looks good there. Onboard sound chip disabled. Wish there was a way we could disable the splash screen. At least it seems to be working, though. Do need to fix that floppy drive cable. Just go ahead and hard power it off for now. Flip around that floppy drive cable. Alright. It's probably going to boot into the Windows 98 installed from the old Carolina Flyer. Oh, I like that floppy disk sound. Scan disk! Yeah, that's just what I thought it would do, and it's probably going to be very, very, very broken. Yeah. Picasso would be proud. And of course I don't have a mouse set up, but I think we are done. Other than putting the side panels back on, I think we're done with the hardware aspect of this. Although I did forget to check and see if the hard drive LED is working, so I will do that probably off camera, but yeah, I guess we should go ahead and button it back up. Okay, we're finally ready. We got it in its permanent home here, along with my big fat juicy 17-inch Packard Bell display, which I believe has a Sony display in it actually, but as you can see, I got the Packard Bell keyboard, monitor, and the Packard Bell case. So that, from the naked eye, this is just a regular Packard Bell, but it's not. Okay, so let's go ahead and power it up. Already got a Packard Bell Master CD boot floppy in. And I got the Master CD in here. If you're wondering how I'll be able to use a Packard Bell Master CD on a computer that's technically not a Packard Bell, well, that's quite simple. I'm using an older Master CD from before Packard Bell had BIOS checks on these. So we'll be able to do this with no problem. Oh, what did you do that for? You stay there. So far, so good. It's taking a little while, but we'll get there. It's not seeing the master CD. So I swear if I have to take this computer back apart. It's not ejecting. One moment. Okay, we're working now. Had to eject it with a paper clip and put it back in, but it's working now. So I'm just going to go to exit down here because we need to do a little bit of F-disking. Okay, no. Alright, gotta reboot. Alright, reboot it again. Once again, we're going to exit. Bell Media, that's okay. Format C/S, make it bootable. Alright. Now this is a 40 gigabyte hard drive, but the partition we just created is only 2 gigabytes because this is a FAT16 partition, and you can only go as high as 2 gigabytes with FAT16, which is what the original version of Windows 95 uses, which is what we're going to be installing initially. But once we get everything installed, we're going to upgrade it to Windows 98 2nd edition, where we'll be able to convert it to FAT32, expand the partition, and let it use the entire 40 gigs. Well, actually, maybe not all the 40 gigs. I want to save space for a second partition to keep game files on. Okay, don't need a volume label. Alright, we'll start the restore process. Okay, we don't have a format number, but we'll go ahead and do a generic format. And it doesn't know the difference. As far as it's aware, this is just a standard Packard Bell. So I guess we'll pause the video right here and we'll catch you on the other side. Okay, I wanted to show the rest of the restore process, but it went just as you would expect. What I'm doing now is, from now on, I'll be using a AverMedia portable game capture device along with a VGA to HDMI adapter from StarTech, which means we're going to have the best possible VGA capture quality you can get. So we'll be doing that from now on. And I recorded some of this with this earlier with the restore process, and the video files weren't working right. So if you have one of these, don't use the AverMedia RE Central. Use Open Broadcast Studio instead. It's a lot more reliable, which is what I'm using right now. So anyway, I did have a IRQ conflict with the sound card, as I was afraid of, but I was able to change the resource. Got some IDE problems here, but I'm hoping this will sort itself out when I upgrade to Windows 98, which we will do right now. Let me grab my Windows 98 upgrade CD. Wherever it is, I haven't used it in a while. I found it. Now the CD-ROM driver is not working in Windows 95, so we're going to have to boot from a boot floppy to get to it. That should be no trouble at all. Now I just got to find a Windows 98 boot floppy. There we go. Alright, we'll restart. Wish I could get the little on-screen display thing to go away from the HDMI adapter from StarTech, but I don't know how that's possible. Alright, we'll start with CD-ROM support. Alright, go to the C drive here. Everything's accounted for. First thing I want to do is delete FaxWorks, because that's just going to get in the way. Or not. I think we'll just do this instead. So I don't think the del tree command's on this boot floppy. So, what I want to do is just simply copy the Windows 98 install setup files from the CD to the hard drive. So, we'll just make a Win98 directory here. And copy from the CD-ROM drive. Hopefully this shouldn't take much time. It's a bit different from your standard Windows 98 install, I'll tell you that. It's a nice fast DVD drive here. Okay, we're actually going to go ahead and reboot, and we're going to boot into just a Windows 95 command prompt from the hard drive, that is. Okay, hit F8. Alright, command prompt only. And we'll, first I want to just completely delete the FaxWorks directory now that we've got del tree command. And we'll head to Windows 98 setup. And here we go. I totally read that agreement. Put the product key in. Alright, we'll install into the Windows directory. It's the most logical place. And we do not want to save the system files. It's just a waste of time and space. Okay, we'll give this a name. This is, well, the model number on here is Legend 3550, so we'll just name it PB 3550. Work group is work group, and Packard Bell Legend 3550. United States. No startup disk. Okay, we'll have to go through this anyway, but here we go. We'll just cancel there, and we will start installing Windows 98. And I got to go pick up some supper, so I'll let this run, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. PBTV still coming up, but was away for a while, so I'm not really sure what portion of the setup we're in. Okay, this is where we are. Let's just hope that those hardware problems we were having in 95 will rectify itself in 98. And I forgot to mention, I had to connect the hard drive LED header. Well, I tried all I could, but I could not figure out where the darn thing connects to, so I just left it unplugged for now. And I'll figure out eventually. Again, this motherboard, there's really not much documentation on it, especially for the front panel headers. And on the board itself, it doesn't say anything. So very annoying, very annoying. Okay, we're getting close to the promised land. I always love that little drum animation. Alright, ready to restart. Hopefully we have a healthy install when we get into Windows. Alright, we still don't have a video driver, but that's just because I need to install the Voodoo driver. And Windows 98 always loves to just put that monitor driver in. Sound is off, so I don't know if the sound card's going to be working or not. Hope it does. So I really don't feel like troubleshooting that. I've done enough troubleshooting as it is today. Oh, got the icon there, that's a good sign. So let's go to Device Manager and see if everything is a little bit happier. Not sure what that is. Okay. Alright, picked up all the good chipset goodies. Even picked up the network card. That is very, very good. I'm impressed. So, what I want to do now is we need to do what we said we were going to do earlier and do a little bit of partition adjustment. And to do that, we're going to need a Cronus OS selector. Just grab the disk. And we got to reboot. I'm just glad everything is healthy looking. Do wish I could get rid of this NEC splash screen to make it more Packard Bell looking. Alright, just go through all this. Don't want to install it, we just want to run Disk Administrator, because we're not planning on dual booting this system with anything. It's going to be 98 only. Alright, here's our partition right here, 1.9 gig FAT16 partition, and we've got 35.3 gigabytes to work with. So let's go up here and go to Convert, change it to FAT32, and let's make a 25 gig partition so we can have some room to have a game partition on. Actually, let's make it a little bit bigger. So I want 10 gigs for that. There we go. That should be plenty enough. And we'll go ahead and create a 10 gig FAT32 partition for games. And we'll let it do its magic. We need to take care of that. Okay. See here, we got a FAT32 drive now with 27.2 gigabytes, along with this drive here where I'll put my game files on. I need to take the Windows 98 CD out of the drive. And I want to do one other thing here. We made a directory here for the Windows 98 setup files. Well, I want to copy these over to Windows/options/cabs. First, we'll delete all these Windows 95 files. Show all files. And we'll paste the 98 files in. While it's doing that, I'm going to find my CD for the Voodoo card. I think this is it. Alright, we'll go back to the C directory and delete the empty Win98 folder. We'll hide the files back. Do the recycle bun, as Jay would say. And let's put in our Voodoo disk. Hope this video isn't too boring, by the way. Alright, I believe this is it right here. Okay, I think I know what to do. I'm going to head into Display Properties. And specify location. believe it put it in a temp directory. This is it. Here we go. Yes, we'll restart. Alright, colors are darker, and we've got a higher resolution. So I believe that means we've got a working video driver. Looking good. Not sure what that PCI multimedia audio device is. Maybe we should do a canyon test just to be sure that everything is working. Turn my speakers on. It sounds like it's working. So that is definitely a good sign right there. But as for that PCI multimedia audio device, I just don't know what that is. Don't have any other PCI cards in the computer other than the network card. Oh well. Guess it's not hurting anything. Well, we are pretty much complete now. This system is all ready to go, software-wise and hardware-wise. Got a bunch of stuff to install on here, which I'll do off video. Excuse me. But I'm really glad to have this built. This has been a dream of mine, and for some reason I decided to get the hiccups as soon as I started recording. And one question I do have for you folks is, why does the video on the CRT monitor here look so fuzzy and blurry and the colors not look right? I mean, it looks great, but it doesn't look as great as it should be if it was a direct connection to the computer. But as you know, I've got the output from the computer going into this adapter right here that just shocked me, and then a HDMI cable going from that adapter to this AverMedia card, and then I have a HDMI to VGA adapter right here that goes back to this CRT monitor, so there must be a little bit of signal deprivation, which is unfortunate. But if anyone has a solution to it, I'd be glad to hear it. I even tried using one of these VGA splitter cables, but the quality was just absolute garbage. So yeah, stay away from that. So, till next time, I'll do a more in-depth video on this at some point when I got all my software installed. But this is Billy Core reminding you, we have new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes in between if there's a special event. But until next time, this is Billy Core signing off.